Thank you very much. I'm Babak Payami, and I have the honor of being your host this evening on behalf of the Parya Scholarship Committee, and I hope that you can hear me well. On behalf of the Parya Foundation and the hundreds of beneficiaries of the Parya Scholarship Program, as well as the patrons and supporters who have made this scholarship possible, I welcome you and thank you for your presence here tonight. Khosh aamedid dostan. I acknowledge the kind presence of the Honorable Paul Calendara, who's delayed a little bit tonight due to some cabinet meeting, and he will be joining us shortly, who's a provincial government House Leader and Ontario MPP, and also His Worship, Mr. John Tory, the Mayor of Toronto, who has been a champion of community causes over the years. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Due to the necessary precautions amid the COVID pandemic, our in-person gathering is limited tonight, but there are many throughout Canada and elsewhere in the world who are with us online, and I welcome them, especially the families of the victims of Flight 752. 2020 has been a turbulent year. Canada mourns the loss of 176 innocent civilians who perished on Flight ps752 in a missile attack on January 8th. Later, the COVID pandemic threw the world into a whirlwind of uncertainty and change. Canada continues to be a beacon of resilience, respect for our fellow human beings, and resolve in the face of challenge. Whether it be of natural causes or human tragedy, we as Canadians stand firm on our principles of human rights, justice, and compassion. It is in this spirit that the Parya Foundation strives to support the community, be it the elderly or new immigrants who need help, or sending supplies to those in quarantine due to COVID-19, or our new initiative of the past few years to support the students in their academic careers through the scholarship program that brings us together here tonight. This year, we have dedicated 46 of our grants in honor of the 46 brilliant students who perished on Flight ps752. Their lives may have been taken from them, but their dreams and aspirations shall live on forever. Before we proceed with our program, may I ask you to once again stand for a moment of silence and remember the victims. Thank you. I have the great pleasure to introduce the founder of the Parya Trillium Foundation, a man whose vision and dedication to the causes of the community has helped to establish this organization, as well as the establishment of the Parya Scholarship Fund, and his steadfast dedication and hard work has resulted in help for many, including the students who benefit from this program. May I ask Mr. Ahmad Tabrizi to come and say a few words for us.
I think I'm allowed to take the mask now. Is it okay? Okay, good evening. Well, we are expecting the minister, but because of the, I think, cabinet meeting, it's delayed. But anyway, we are expecting him any moment. His Worship John Tory, Mayor of Toronto, Mr. Rob Oliphant, Member of Parliament, Don Valley West, Mr. Ali Essazi, Member of Parliament of Willowdale, Mr. Majid Johari, Member of Parliament of Richmond Hill, Mrs. Gila Martin, MPP of Thornhill, Mr. Michael Parsa, MPP of Aurora, Oak Ridge, Richmond Hill, Mr. Logan Kanapeti, MPP of Markham, Mr. Kate Irish, Councillor Ward 1 of Markham, and my very dear friend Amir Masoudi, Executive Secretary of Premier Rockford. Dear awarded students who are here with us tonight or joining through Zoom. Dear parents of a student who lost their lives during tragic Flight 752 who are here tonight. Dear generous donor, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Board of Directors of Parya Trillium Foundation, I welcome you to the 3rd annual Parya Scholarship event and thank you for being with us tonight. Parya is now 19 years old federally registered charity, proudly serving individuals across the GTA. This past year, we can say it has been very difficult for all of us. We are proud that from the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, not only have we continued offering all our services online, but also added food delivery service to more than 775 households experiencing food insecurity through the financial support of our community, York Region Food Bank, and United Way. Delivery were all done through our dedicated volunteer, compassing area spanning from the New Market to Hamilton and from Oshawa to Mississauga. For our online services, we had 410 participants joining us for our computer, social media, and ESL classes. In addition, we have served more than 1,985 people with settlement and employment services. These services are not limited to only Iranian community, but also includes the Russian, Chinese, and Afghani communities. Tonight is our 3rd annual scholarship event. The concept of awarding a scholarship at Parya was initiated by my late son Arshia about 7 years ago, when he volunteered as Parya in-house lawyer. In our first year, we awarded 31 scholarships, followed by 62 scholarships in our second year, and today we are excited to announce that we will award 115 scholarships to Iranian students studying at the Canadian University. This year we have 33 generous donors, and we are happy tonight that we have 27 of them presenting in this meeting tonight. Thank you. A very special thank you to my high school classmate, Mr. Hamid Eshqi, President of Jawad Muwaffaqian Foundation of Vancouver. What a life. We were together in high school, but for 30 years we lost each other, and we met each other in Canada. Who has donated a total of 56 scholarships this year. 46 of these scholarships are in the memory of the 46 Iranian students who lost their lives in the tragic accident flight number ps752 earlier this year in January. Tonight, we have 12 of the awarded students and 4 of the families who lost their loved ones with us. Welcome and thank you for being with us. I would like to thank you also few of my Parya major donors whose generous support allowed us to have this property. Mr. Farid Darwish, Mr. Afhari, Mr. Tahiri, Mr. Salehi. Last but not least, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to my hard-working colleagues at Parya, Furuzan, Hussein, Salome, Shadi, and our volunteer, Mariam, Aliyar, Ghana, and Jackie. My sincere thanks to Mr. Nader Naderi, who has been a volunteer in all our events since the beginning and give a warm ambient to all our gathering with his artistic talent. Before I leave, I should add my sincere thanks to the incredible job done by Dr. Ganjavi, also my high school classmate. Through his 40 years of experience being a professor of at Laurentian University. He led all of our scholarship committee very successfully. Thank you, Ojan. Hamid, Ojan, and I graduated in 1975 in Hadaf High School in Tehran. After 55 years, together we are the pillar of this event in Canada. It is unbelievable. This is Canada, and we are all proud Canadians. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Of course, the difficult task of going through and presenting the awards for these scholarships befalls on a committee that works very hard and has a very tough choice, because from what I know, all of the applicants are exemplary students with the highest grades. So very early on, the decision was made in the community to disregard the grades in the decision-making process, because all of them were of the highest standards. But the difficult task of coordinating all of this and guiding all of us in the scholarship committee befalls on Dr. Ojan Ganjavi, who I ask him to kindly come and say a few words for us.
Welcome, everyone. Why paper? Because I'm getting old and my memory is not that strong. Have names, numbers, I tend to forget them. But where's Mr. Tabrizi? Okay, I wanted to tell him that I think his memory is worse than my memory. We graduated from high school in 1965, not 75. The three of us, Mr. Eshki, Mr. Tabrizi, and myself. So in 1965, we graduated from high school, and each one of us went different ways, different universities, and so on. And after 50 years, we found each other. So much about memory. As I said, I have to keep a piece of paper to help me to remember what exactly I wanted to say. The scholarship program, as Mr. Tabrizi mentioned, was an idea that late Arshia Tabrizi was presenting to his dad. Unfortunately, he's not with us to see the fruit of those early thoughts and effort of the people who put the program together. In particular, the generous donation of the donors that help us to put this program together. Otherwise, without money, there's nothing. I am managing the program with the help and support of my colleagues in the scholarship committee. It's a lot of work, but I think the biggest part of this activity is fundraising, which is on the shoulders of Mr. Tabrizi. So, if he knocks your door, if he calls you on the phone, please be generous. As Mr. Tabrizi mentioned, we started this program shortly before the start of academic year 2018-2019. We could raise enough money to pay a scholarship to 31 students. There were a couple of very generous donors that help us to start the program. Mr. Tabrizi mentioned Mr. Darvish, the foundation that he mentioned, the Muwafaqian Foundation, and he himself. He was one of the major donors. The following year, we could manage to double the number of scholarships that we had. And this year, with the help of all the donors that are sitting right here in this room, we managed to collect enough money to be able to pay 115 scholarships. We had over 200, close to 235 students were in contact with me by email. About 200 of them eventually managed to file a complete application form. And I was responsible to prepare folders for each one of them and hand them to our committee to review them, and the committee picked 115 of them to receive the available scholarships. Few statistics. I need my paper. We had application from over 200 students and from 41 universities and colleges across Canada. The breakdown of applicants were 47% female and 53% male. 52% of them were at the doctoral level. 30% were at master's level and 22% at either bachelor level or college diploma. Out of those 200 or so applicants, as I said, 115 were selected based on the information that they have submitted and the analysis that my colleagues in the committee carried out. The students from the 115 students that are in that group who receive scholarships are coming from 29 universities across Canada. The breakdown is 41% female, 59% male, and 59% of them are at doctoral level. 36% are at master's level, and 5% are at bachelor and college diploma level. I am hoping that with generous donations that we have received so far and supports that has grown over the past 3 years, we can go up to a point where we have 200, 250 scholarships available, so that every student who apply, we can provide them a scholarship. As Mr. Tabrizi mentioned, 46 of these scholarships, which were funded by Muwaffaqian Foundation, are in memory of, to honor the memory of the 46 students who were perished. It is hard. I'm sorry, it's very hard to mention this horrible event and not get emotional. I think I have to go and sit down there. Before I finish my talks, I want to ask our generous donors to talk to their friends, to people in their social circle, to people in their business circle, and encourage them to do the same good deed that they did to support this valuable program. Students are the most deserving sector of our society when it comes to receive financial assistance, and they are the future of our society. So please help us to expand this program, and I would like to thank you for everything that you have done so far. 115 is really great achievements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ganjavi. One of the side effects of COVID-19 has been to accelerate a trend that was bound to happen within the next 10-15 years, which is remote communication and commuting or working from home. And tonight we have a few video messages which are partly probably as a result of this reality that we have faced and the inevitable change that has happened within the last several months. So I'm delighted to introduce a video message from the Honorable Mary Eng, Minister of Small Business, Export Promotion and International Trade.
Good evening, everyone. While I couldn't be there with you in person, I am happy that technology allows us to celebrate this incredible initiative by the Parya Trillium Foundation. Tonight is bittersweet. As we celebrate the achievements of youth in our community, we also mourn the lives lost in the tragic flight ps752 earlier this year. We lost peers from school, friends from our neighborhoods, as well as loved ones and community leaders that we can always depend on. Tonight and always, we will remember them. The Parya Trillium Foundation's initiative to provide scholarships to 150 Iranian students and support their bright futures is a beautiful way to honor the memory of the people we lost in this national tragedy. Their legacies will live on through the spirit and the passion of these students, of whom many are here tonight. To the scholarship recipients and all young people here, regardless of the unique circumstances that this year has brought, you are just beginning this exciting road to promising careers and fulfilling lives. Now, you might have heard the Prime Minister say this before, but I think it rings true especially tonight. Young people are not just the leaders of tomorrow. They are truly, and you are truly, the leaders of today. While you won't always have all the answers, what is important is that you continue to question, learn about the world around you, and to think big. That is how we can all work together to find solutions to our world's biggest challenges. You can count on organizations like the Parya Trillium Foundation and our government to be there to support you along the way. I know I speak on behalf of everyone here in saying, we cannot wait to see what you do next. Thank you, Mr. Tabrizi and the Parya Trillium Foundation for having me here virtually. I wish I could be there with you in person, but more importantly, and most importantly, taking such a tragic event and turning it into a beautiful memorialization of their legacies is what you are doing tonight. I want to thank you and have a wonderful night. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Our next video message is from a special friend and a patron of the Iranian academic community, as well as a special friend and supporter of the Parya Foundation, whose advice and guidance has helped us, especially through this scholarship program. I have the distinct honor of introducing a video message from Dr. Abbas Milani, who's the Director of Iranian Studies at the Stanford University.
Dear friends, salam. I'm truly honored and humbled, and as such heartbroken to join you in these solemn and joyous occasion, what can be best described as the best of times and the worst of times. It is the best of times, and I'm honored to be able to join yet again in this rightfully joyous occasion of the Iranian Canadian community celebrating and supporting its best and brightest, and again reaffirming the commitment of the community's leaders of today to support the education of tomorrow's leaders. Exiles, they say, are tragic figures because they are custodians of dead treasures. But our exilic community, our new diaspora, there in Canada, much more or less here in the United States, has shown wisdom and resilience in nurturing and cherishing our youth as our most important treasures. But we have also shown by celebrating critically and courageously the best of our Iranian culture. Surely one of the boldest and most consequential civilizations in our common human heritage. Every one of the recipients of these scholarships then carry a double burden. They must prove worthy custodians of that cultural treasure, and no less importantly, they must carry the torch of the enlightened vision and communal empathy shown by the generous contributors who have made tonight possible. But these are not just the best of times. I know you all share with me the deep sorrow in remembering the many Iranian Canadians who were on that tragic Ukrainian flight. They are not here to celebrate the rest of us, and they are not here only because of the crass calculations of a regime for whom all lives are black pawns in their endless greed for keeping power and increasing their privilege. I'm also saddened by the absence of my dear friend, a shining star in the firmament of not just Iranian Canadians, of fellow Iranians everywhere, Arshia. Let me end my talk with a few lines from his recently published collection of poems called A Sea of Snow. He wrote this poem in 1991, but he could have been talking about the day the airplane was shot down by IRGC missiles. It's called Oceans. And the names are oceans. So many oceans to dream on, so many waves to die on, so many voices to call on, and so many unseen souls, chanting so many unheard songs beneath the blue veil of uncertainty. Thank you for having me. Congratulations to all of the recipients of the scholarship, and may next year be better than the horrible last year of corona and tragedies and oppressions.
Special thanks to Dr. Bilani. I would like to now introduce the Honorable Paul Calandra, MPP of Markham and also Government House Leader, and we're very glad that you can make it on time for your scheduled talk. Please.
Thank you very much, and I do apologize for being late. It's nice to see at the same time so many friends and acquaintances I have from both Ottawa and Queen's Park here. I just want to say I almost feel unworthy to be the one up here speaking when we have someone from the community who works so very hard and has been somebody who's been inspirational to many of us at Queen's Park. I know you've probably introduced him already. Michael Parsa is here, and he is somebody who really led a lot of this for us. Obviously, when we saw the incident that happened on the Ukrainian flight, it all hit us. It all hit us very emotionally and passionately. We were all very upset by it. But I think something that the Premier has taught us and in our caucus is that through every tragedy, we must find something that we can do that becomes positive with it. And the scholarships is one of the ways that we can do that. We can ensure that the memory of these people is never forgotten, that we can continue to support those who will come afterwards so that they can continue to make a positive contribution. So again, I want to just thank you very much. This has been an extraordinarily difficult year for a lot of people for many reasons. But as difficult as it is, and as we remember those who perished so tragically, it is also uplifting to be able to come here and to support those that next generation who will be so important to helping to build our communities. So again, I know that my colleague Gila is here and Logan is here, and of course Principal Secretary to the Premier, Ami Masudi, is also here. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, but thank you so much for everything that this community has done to make Ontario the greatest place in the entire country in which to live. We cannot build a province and a country that has been as successful as it has without your efforts. So again, tragedy, out of tragedy, something positive is going to happen. And again, I thank you all for your very, very generous support to allow us to come here today and be with you. Thank you.
And thank you very much for the viewers who've joined us online, and I'm very happy to have received that feedback, which shows there are many people listening and eager to follow the proceedings here. I arrived in Toronto in the late 80s, 1987, and from the very outset, I've been smitten by the city, and I'm proud since then to be a Torontonian, and I'm delighted to introduce our next speaker who has the custodianship of our good city, Toronto, here. May I ask, please, Mr. John Tory to join us for a few words. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and good evening to everybody. And I'm particularly pleased to be here, of course. It's one of the great joys of going to these events with not only you and with the scholarship recipients, and tragically with some of the families of those lost in Flight 752, but also with some of my colleagues in public life, because I remember very well at some of the vigils, including the one that took place right here, one in Convocation Hall, and a number of others, we were all there together for this community. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why, because it's self-evident from what you see from the people who've won the scholarships, it's self-evident from those who they honor, and it's just self-evident every day in terms of the contribution that this community makes to the broader community, both of Toronto and surrounding area, but also of Ontario and of Canada. And I want to make sure that I start by saying congratulations to those who have been awarded these scholarships. It was interesting to hear the doctor describe the selection process, and to say in the end that you do reach a point sometimes with one of these kinds of competitions where you kind of give up on trying to judge, because all the applications are so superior. And if you just look at what flashes by on the screen here, in terms of what people are studying and so on, I can just say it's well beyond anything I studied at law school, and I'm glad that I'm of an age where I don't have to compete with any of these people going forward. You know, and I want to say thank you to the Parya Foundation too for the work that was done, you know, in terms of both the founding of the foundation and the setting up of the scholarship program, and of course the ongoing administration of it. I have repeated often the story of how tragic it was to go to those vigils, but what was most remarkable, because I did see it 3 or 4 times, was as they flashed across the screen the pictures of the people, and just like the scholarship winners tonight, there was a little bit of an indication of what the people had done in their young lives, and of course most of the people were younger. And it was really quite remarkable, the level of accomplishment, the consistency of accomplishment of people who fate said would be on that plane on that day. It was remarkable, and I think it is something that has been a consistent feature of this community that they were a part of and that you're a part of, is just remarkable accomplishment. And I just want to acknowledge that in the context of the incredible contribution that was taken from us, that those people were already making as leaders in our communities. But I think when somebody said the worst of times and the best of times, the incredible contribution, you just know that these people who are being supported and honored tonight in memory of those who are lost are going to make going forward to nation building and to city building and to province building. Because they're not just people who sort of have a lot of letters after their name, or who have been to school a lot, or even had lofty jobs. They were all people like that, but they were people who you knew were engaged in their community and were themselves wanting to be proud Canadians. You know, when it was said earlier on that you feel like you're proud Canadians, we, who are also your fellow Canadians, are proud to be fellow Canadians with you. And I say that of you in particular that have organized this, but also all the people in this room and many that are watching at home. I think These were some of our best and brightest that were taken from us, and we are taking their memories and putting to work the generosity of the donors to honor some of the best and brightest that are in the generation to follow. And I know that they will take up that challenge, just as we must take up, and I'll conclude on this note. Those of us from all three governments, it was fine to attend the vigils, which we did, because we wanted to honor this community and honor the memories of those that were lost. But things are going very slowly in the search for justice. And you can't have closure for those people we lost and for their families, some of whom are represented here tonight. You can't have closure for those people. You never really get closure on these things, as you know, but you can develop some scar tissue, you can develop some resilience and get back to more of your life, admittedly with a hole in it, if you get some justice. And I know that we have to keep pressing because it's not going to be volunteered. And so I just will commit myself as one of the community leaders, many represented here tonight, who will make sure that we continue to speak up so that that justice is received, and so that that means these people, these lovely people that are here tonight and the families that are not here can, at least have that to comfort them at a time that I'm sure will still be one of terrible need for them. So thank you very much, and congratulations again to the scholarship winners.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, for your kind words. Of course, we're all here tonight. Our main purpose is the beneficiaries and the students who have been awarded these scholarships, and the many others we look forward to be able to support in the years to come, and through the dedication of the team at Parya under the leadership of Mr. Tabrizi and under the guidance of Dr. Ojan Ganjavi, who's been working very hard and making this happen. And tonight, I'm delighted to introduce one of the recipients of our scholarships to speak on behalf of those who have received these bursaries, Ms. Nazanin Behboudi Kha.
A very good evening to distinguished guests, our donors, Parya Trillium Foundation members, and students. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone for being here in this evening. My name is Nazanin. I am a grad student at the University of Waterloo School of Architecture, and I am very honored to be asked to speak on behalf of students. Let me congratulate ourselves on receiving the Parya Scholarship. I would like to start with a familiar story you all know, but yet. Every one of us, when we were kids, have been dragged from school to classes, from classes to other classes. Our parents wanted us to become knowledgeable and to get cultured, from math to music, from painting to ping pong. They wanted us to learn everything. They dreamed us to become doctors, engineers, and scientists. So classic. Although we dramatically ruined their ambitions, I personally cannot deny the effort they put into my personal development, education, and ethics. Fast forward, I studied at university, tried hard to learn whatever needed to be learned, but eventually, like birds who want to leave the nest when the autumn winds blow, I wanted to fly off too. The hardest thing ever, I said goodbye to my family and friends and came to Canada to pursue my dreams. Canada gave me the opportunity to be independent and know myself better. In this country, I understood what loneliness is meaning, but at the same time, it helped me to learn how to deal with this feeling, how to stay strong. I understood how to communicate with people from other nations and respect their values, and all in all, how to improve my soft skills. I remember in mid-January, on a cold and snowy day, I was trying to find a job from one restaurant to another, from one store to another. But it was in this country also that I realized how joyful it is to find a job for your own and work in a multicultural environment. But like all stories, a fairy tale has an evil too. Before I became an international student, I had saved up for all my expenses, getting, of course, the huge help from the family. But the currency rate has changed dramatically and beyond my expectations. Sad news from home never ended. The plane has shut down and we lost our friends. Then it was the pandemic that has spread and changed our daily life. Even the opportunity of working has faded. In those gloomy days, a few months ago, I started to feel very nervous. And guess what? I remember the day that Parya scholarship came up, and you cannot imagine how much did it mean to me, and I believe to other students too. I want to say thank you to this community, to each and to every person here. I think it is amazing that people like you donate based on the love that you have in your heart. And I hope in the future I deserve to be part of it, to get the hand of fresh new students. While this scholarship helps us to cover our tuitions and expenses, the real value lies beyond financial matter. It means we are not alone here. It means we have a family in Canada. So from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of students, I want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nazanin. It is with a very heavy heart that I have to make this next introduction. And I'm honored and proud that our team here at the Parya Foundation has dedicated the 46 scholarships in the name and memory of those who have lost their lives. I will introduce to you a dear friend, someone who's become like a brother to me. And I wish we've never met or gotten to know each other under these circumstances, but I'm really honored and proud to be your friend and by your side. I would like to introduce and ask Dr. Ahmed Ismailun to say a few words. He's the spokesperson of the Association of the Families of Flight 752 Victims.
Good evening. I just say a few words in Farsi. سلام میکنم به همه، به پدران عزیزی که اینجا هستند. و به پدران و مادرانی که احتمالاً از طریق زوم دارن این برنامه رو میبینند. پدران و مادرانی که حاصل عمرشون رو در اون پرواز، در اون جنایت فراموش نشدنی از دست دادن. و ممنونم از بنیاد پریا که امسال 46 دانشجو رو به اسم دانشجویان از دست رفته ما در واقع بورسیه کرد و در این مبارزه علیه فراموشی ما رو کمک میکنه. Good evening. On behalf of the associations of the families of Flight ps752 victims, I thank you for being here and extend my special thanks to the Parya Foundation for this noble cause. 46 human beings, brilliant minds with great aspirations are no longer with us. But there are many other young women and men who are getting the chance to study in the best academic institutions of the world here in Canada. A noble cause that must be acknowledged with our respect for those who organize and support it. We must also acknowledge and express our appreciation for this dedication in memory of the victims of Flight ps752. But there is much else to be said, and I speak here especially on behalf of those families who have buried 46 young, shining stars. Sacrificing the young has been a plague that consumes the people of our native land. The murder of the young and their secret burial in the dead of night has become a fact of life in Iran, a country that suffers under the boots of tyrants. But Canada shall not, and does not tolerate injustice. We speak not of a rest in peace, as those 46 young women and men did not go in peace at the height of their ambition and drive for life. Peace in death is only for those like us who have survived our loved ones and suffer in their loss. Beside those 46 brilliant minds, 29 children are buried. An unborn child is buried, and 101 other innocent humans who were murdered in cold blood are buried. Their remains and belongings were looted, and all evidence of the crime bulldozed in broad daylight within hours, while the smoldering rubble has not yet cooled. The perpetrators of this inhumane crime continue to mock and breach international law and civil aviation treaties. It took them 7 months to deliver the black boxes that were retrieved within days, and all we know so far is that the unsung heroes, the pilots of Ukrainian flight ps752, may have had a chance to save lives were it not for a second missile fired at them by the tyrants. Today we face nothing but questions. Where do we stand? Where does Canada stand in this bloody tale of injustice? What have we done? What has Canada done to take the investigation of this crime away from the hands of the perpetrators? What have we done here in Canada to bring justice for those 46 young victims? Canada funds the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, but this organization has not even condemned the Islamic Republic of Iran government. We ask, where does Canada stand in the face of this crime? We represent Canadian values based on our Charter of Human Rights, but have we spoken forcefully in Parliament or arranged a meeting between our association with our Prime Minister? Have we taken all necessary steps to initiate a formal criminal investigation by RCMP? 46 young students are getting a chance to further their academic careers thanks to those who support the Parya Foundation in this noble cause. And I thank you all on behalf of the families of the victims, mothers and fathers, some of whom are in Iran, who have no more tears left to shed. I stand here before you with a heavy heart, but filled with gratitude, and I ask just one question. What have we done to bring justice to those who perished on flight ps752? Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you very much. I know that the end of these proceedings that should be celebrating the careers and the lives of young students should not be on a down note, but it is what it is. And I think it only speaks for our resolve to stand for justice, to stand for those who've lost their lives, and to stand for the principles that hopefully will not allow for such injustice to happen again. And I think Canada is the best country in the world to stand for those principles and to help bring justice for those families. That brings us to the conclusion of these proceedings, and I would like to consult with Your Worship, Mayor John Tory, about the procedure with which we want to do the photographs. My recommendation, given my experience somewhat dabbling in the film business and the limitations of the COVID-19, which I don't want to call it social distancing, it's more physical distancing while we socially bond and unite together. My suggestion is that instead of coming up on the stage, and this is subject to your approval and agreement, is that we bring the photographer on the stage and all of us stand where we are at the distances that we have, and maybe momentarily remove our masks so that our faces will be shown by the photograph, if you agree, Your Worship. Wonderful. So if I can ask you all please to stand. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all. I know that everybody who has had a Persian friend or has been to a Persian gathering, which I think is an impossibility not to in a city like Toronto with so many Iranians, the sense of hospitality among Iranians is somewhat special. However, because of, again, COVID, we had to have modest refreshments, packaged refreshments in the adjacent room, and I really thank you on behalf of Parya, and I thank you sincerely for the support and for being here, and I thank everybody online who's joined us to celebrate the careers and the further advancement of these wonderful students who have received these awards, and I look forward to seeing you next year under better circumstances. Thank you all.